Hi, it's a Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to do a whole video talking about palettes that are kind of on my wish list. Palettes that look interesting to me, that kind of make me intrigued. I want to know more, I want to try more. And then there are definitely, some of these palettes are from several months ago, if not a year or more ago. Things that have continued to hold that interest. So thank you for watching today. Subscribe if you haven't. And this whole idea of not over purchasing palettes, my goal for 2020 is to only purchase one palette a month. And if I don't purchase anything because nothing really grabs my interest, then that's okay. And next month, instead of getting two, I'm still just going to stick to one, and I will have purchased 11 palettes throughout the year instead of 12, or whatever the case may be. And that comes from one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Andrea Mattiliano. I'll make sure to link her channel in the description box down below. But she got to the point where she was so fatigued by the overwhelming number of new release, new release, new release, new release. And I've been feeling that. And then as a YouTuber, I kind of feel like I want to buy all the new things. And realistically, I'm a small channel. I can't physically afford to do that. And so I think also that discipline of doing my research, is it really interesting or is it just the new buzz? Giving myself permission to step back from what I think I should be doing, and then really only making purchases that truly make me happy and delight me. That's really where I think when it comes to makeup, most of us want to live in that this just makes me happy place. So let's talk about some eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to start with Colourpop. Colourpop has one or two shadow palettes that I have been intrigued by. The first one is the Lilac You A Lot palette. And I have been in love, and I've seen it a lot recently, and I know it's because we're moving into spring, but a really beautiful soft pastel eye. And that is one of those that when it came out in 2019, I really wanted to get it, but it was very similar to the It's My Pleasure palette, which I have and I absolutely love. But I thought, how nice would it be to have a slightly less intense version of that? And I could really see myself using that more than maybe some of the other 9-pan monochromatic palettes that I have from Colourpop, because I have the red one, I have the blue one, the yellow one, and the purple one. And I also have the coconuts, which is like the neutral one. And the one, I use the Going Coconuts and the It's My Pleasure, the purple one, the most. And I thought, you know, maybe if I'm liking those tones, a lighter, softer, easier, and a really pretty, like building a whole palette around that soft pastel-y eye. So that is definitely one of those that is still intriguing to me. You know, looking through the rest of the pre-made palettes on Colourpop's website, I think it's just the Lilac You A Lot palette that really has caught my attention. Another thing that I'll tell you I have been curious about is the new reformulation of the Colourpop eyeshadows. I wonder sometimes if it's just we are now pressing them in square pans as opposed to round pans. I don't know if it's just that, but I think that there is something interesting. I also like the idea of Marlena creating this matrix where light shade, medium light shade, medium dark shade, dark shade. You can take 4 colors from anywhere in the collection and use them together to create a cohesive look. And that was like, really? I was thinking more like color theory, color wheel, what's opposite the color wheel, what's right adjacent to it, what's really going to work. And I think that it would be interesting to try and create maybe not a whole 9-pan palette for myself, but definitely maybe one of those little tiny quads like the 4 pans, just to try the formula again, because I already have at least 40 Makeup Geek singles in a magnetic palette. And I think there's just enough curiosity there that's kind of like, And then my question is, do I get one of the pre-made 9-pan palettes or the pre-made 4-pan palettes, or do I kind of pick and choose and make my own? One of the high-end shadow palettes that I really have been looking at for a long time, because it came out a year and a half ago, is the Born to Run eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay. And I think the reason that this is still kind of catching my interest, first of all, nothing but good reviews from people, so I think the quality is there. On top of that, you can build like a myriad of looks. I'm looking at it on my phone right now, and there is some plummy and berry tones. There are some warm browns and more rusty tones, and then some very decidedly cooler shades, greens and kind of slate blues and what have you. And I think, you know, that might make for a really interesting but still diverse palette. This one is a little bit newer, and I wasn't sure whether it would be this palette or the original Latte palette from Dominique Cosmetics. Right now, the Latte 2 really has my attention, and it could be because it includes kind of that saffrony yellow shade, that minty green, and then that beautiful peach. But if you're just looking at the first half of the palette, you've got a lot of really standard brown, neutrally everyday shades, and then those other pops that work so well that could be incorporated to make a more interesting look. That one's definitely on my list. So there are a couple of Natasha Denona palettes. I think the one that really catches me the most is the Biba palette. Now, I probably would not shell out $129 for another full-size Natasha Denona palette. I have another one at that price point, and I'm just like, why? The ones that really catch my eye are the mini ones. I know that there's been some controversy over whether the formulation is the same in the minis as the full size, and I feel like with the last several releases I've heard nothing but good things. I am very intrigued in the mini gold eyeshadow palette. I like that it has kind of some, you know, army greens and some bright vivid golds in there. I've always loved that. Also really intrigued by the mini Glam, and I love that these are only $25 a piece. The mini Glam, I think, would be a super easy everyday look, and that taupey shade in the middle, And I'm not gonna lie, the mini Nude also has my attention. So I would definitely feel like picking one of these up, even though they're not like brand new, just released like yesterday. That is more interesting to me because I think it would be something I could wear. And I really love Natasha Denona's formula. I have one of the full-size 5 shadow pan palettes, and I really love it. It's the more mauve toned one, and I think it's beautiful, and the formula is to die for. But I think some of these more neutral or olivey green or taupey leaning ones really also have caught my attention. I'll probably get those before I would spend it on the Biba palette, to be honest. This is one palette that I continue to talk myself out of because I have so many shadow singles that are remarkably similar, and it's the Urban Decay Naked Honey. Now, I've not been intrigued by the Naked Cherry or the Naked Heat or the Naked Smoky, or like, there's been a ton of Naked whatevers. I do have the original Naked palette, and I do have the Naked 3. Naked 2 is a little too cool for me, and I do like cool shadows, but that color story doesn't just call my name. But the Naked Honey really does. And I keep telling myself, I'm sure I have all of these shades, if not exactly, so close it's ridiculous, either in singles, but having it all in a palette, there's something about that. And I don't know whether it's me or whether it's just the aesthetic of having it all there laid out before you, somebody else did the work. I really like this palette. I don't know that I would still pay the $49 for it, but if I saw it on sale, there's a strong chance I would pick it up because I've heard great reviews about it. And again, I do think that most of the time Urban Decay's formula is just remarkably great, and they hit it out of the ballpark. And that color story really intrigues me. So this one's a little different. I have been a little hesitant to wear pink shadows, but when I saw this palette come out, it really caught my attention. And it is kind of pink, but it's not like bubblegum Barbie pink. And it's the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Eyeshadow Palette, the Pillow Talk collection. So I decided a long time ago that I was no longer going to purchase the 4-pan quads from Charlotte Tilbury because those are $54 a piece. They're very expensive, and you only get 4 shades. But if you get one of her larger palettes, yes, the price tag does go up. It is $75, but you get a lot more product for your money. So I do have a couple of her quads that I enjoy. I don't reach for them as often as I would like, but I do have this here. This is the Icon palette, and this has 12 shades in it, and I'll tell you, I love her formula. I've always loved the formula from these guys. I love the formula in here, and I feel like there's something special about the way they wear. And I feel like, and this is not saying that it's not good, because I love this about it, I never really end up getting like this intense shade on my eye. It can be a sheer wash. It doesn't, like this black here is not like an intense smoky black. It turns into a charcoal and it blends out to like nothing, and it's beautiful. I love the blendability of these. I also love some of these more sparkly topper shades. I feel like there's something special about these, and she always has one kind of shimmery topper in each one of her quads. And they work best when you just use your finger with them, but it looks much darker here, and then here it's kind of a really pretty sheer, like you just tap it on the eye. And I know in this Pillow Talk collection palette there is a lot of those. There are 4 trios. One of the trios is completely matte, and the other ones have one of those more sparkly topper shades, and I think those are unique to Charlotte Tilbury, and I think that the formula is so good. I would be willing to pay $75 for a kind of a rosy toned but still neutral palette. The next one that I am surprised, I am intrigued by, is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. And as I'm looking at it here, there's a lot of really pretty pastel-y shades. I know there are some really glittery shades in here, and I love glitter on the eye, but I've never tried the Huda Beauty eyeshadow formula. And although I do really love the 9-pan nude palettes that she came out with, if I were to get one of those, I probably wouldn't get the one that's for light skin. I'd probably get the medium or the deep one, because those colors are more interesting to me. But I'll tell you, this Mercury Retrograde, it is so beautiful. And I am not a bright shadow person. Normally I'm a very neutral kind of gal, kind of like what I got going on today, was just barely anything, just a hint of. But I'll tell you, this Mercury Retrograde just makes me happy. It delights my soul, and I'm like, And even though it is $67, it's one of those things that I feel like I would be willing to pay for that. I think when it comes to shadow, that's kind of it. I can't think of anything else that has come out that really I feel like I've missed the boat on. But I'll tell you, the idea of taking my time, researching it, watching reviews to make sure that I'm fully going to love the performance of the shadows, I think that's going to be something that's going to be really good for me. And there was, like, last month's palette that I bought in January was the Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette. I love that so much. And I felt like I'd already experienced enough good from Sydney Grace. I have 2 of their bundles, I have a handful of singles, and I have one of their other palettes. I felt like I knew their quality well enough that I didn't feel bad in placing an order the day that it was actually released. But I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of the day it's released. I'll be ordering unless it's a company I'm extremely familiar with, and I can think of maybe a handful here or there. But mostly I'm looking forward to taking my time this year and deciding carefully, or going, you know what? Nothing for me this month. Let me know if you are making a change to the way you're purchasing makeup. That would be intriguing to me, and what your beauty goals are for 2020. And if there is an eyeshadow palette that has still like got your heart going beat, 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 you know, like a little, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like one of those cartoon characters was like, oh God. That's what I feel like with certain palettes. If you have one of those, let me know what it is in the comments down below, and either are you picking it up, why haven't you picked it up, or are you waiting for it to go on sale? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.